Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Welcome to the Comfy Couch Cast, everyone. I am your host, CatBit, introducing you to two of our casual members and a special guest. Who are you two guys?
Shane. Nice introduction, Shane. I'm random.
And we have a special guest. Can you please introduce yourself, sir?
Well, alright. Hey, call me Manny. I'm currently doing a podcast. I do art, and I'm also doing great, but I'd say life is quite like a dream for me. It always has been. So I guess my art always revolves around dreams.
So
Epic.
So what do you usually do, Manny? And where can people follow you so that they can see your artwork?
I don't actually use Twitter like most people do. See, most people, they tend to just retweet the stuff that their friends are tweeting, the stuff that's right in front of them. But for me, I have to look very deeply into the kind of stuff that I like personally, and I'd only retweet stuff that show that that's my interest, like fine arts, ballet, architecture, poetry, and sometimes pastries, because pastries are nice, but I haven't done that in a while. But anyway, you can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is made by Manny O, and you'll find a lot of how I. Yes.
No, I like that when you go, oh.
Thank you. That's really sweet. Thank you. Anyway, yeah. My account shows a lot of how I study things. Because I really like to make sure that I'm ahead of everyone when I work on my things, and you'll find that I take my work very seriously. But that doesn't mean that I like to shitpost every now and then. Like, I'm not the kind of person who just sit there and be like, "Shut up, I'm doing work." No, like, I like to loosen up a bit too, which is kind of why I'm doing this podcast. So hey, everyone.
I know how you get, dude, because I work pretty much all day on animation and also my own things. But if you see my Discord server is probably the most degenerate thing you'll ever see. But
hell yeah,
they're not gonna see it.
Yeah.
And I always make sure I'm always communicating with people in there. Make sure everything's spick and spam.
Oh, definitely.
And as you're saying that, someone in the comments is like, I'd like to join your podcast because I am a fan of you. Even though I never show it, but I am a fan. You're like, yeah, that's cool.
You're treating us like we have fans.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Who knows?
Yeah, right.
Let's put it this way. For example, you random, when you get a bit further into the industry, as will some of us in the future, perhaps a certain fan of ours would come to look through our history and see that we made a podcast, that you guys made a podcast, and that one of us had an episode here, and you'd be like, hey, where would I find a specific episode where this person has joined in? And they'd be like, wow, there he is, there she is, and there you have it, more information about that person in particular.
Yes.
I try not to I try not to make myself that well known on the internet.
Oh yeah, it can get pretty crazy.
Yeah, I kind of gave up on
Kiwi?
that.
Kiwi has such horrible she's an animator herself, but God, the people who come up on her DMs are crazy as heck.
Oh, I've seen that.
Who's this lady?
A lot of crazy people.
Link.
Yeah.
I remember I posted that in the koi pond.
Oh yeah, that's my server, but I don't remember. I don't know. Maybe if you could post it here, it'd probably be a lot easier. I don't know.
Yeah, go follow her.
Definitely.
She's a very nice artist, and she's very cool.
Yes. So
yeah,
we have topics for today. And
First of all, we gotta ask, how's y'all's days?
It's
This is the second time I did not get any sleep.
Come on, man, you promised that you would actually get some sleep, man.
I actually did, but here's the thing. I got sleep at 8 a.m., woke up at 6 p.m., and so basically, I guess this is sleep, but sleep for American time zones.
So you're not. Oh yeah, you're in the upside down land, as Nessie calls it.
You're
Truly.
nocturnal.
I truly am nocturnal,
Lol.
so to speak.
So
Yeah.
we have some topics for today. Our first.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so our first topic is the following. So you guys know that Nickelodeon now owns like an 80s property by the name of Ninja Turtles, right?
Yeah.
You know about that one comic with Garfield in it that one time?
Yes, I do know about that comic about Garfield. He does the lasagna, and also he's a Lovecraft monster.
What if I were to tell you that about yesterday, Nickelodeon announced that they got full ownership to the Fat Cat?
I mean, I wouldn't really care. Like, oh, okay.
And what if I were to tell you that thanks to this buyout, they're working on a new Garfield cartoon?
I mean, it might be good. Might be better than
Oh, cool.
the Garfield show, the one on crappy 3D one.
And I'm pretty sure anything Garfield related is better than a Garfield show.
Yeah.
Hey.
That was like in the category of shows that I didn't like, but I watched because I had nothing else better to watch. It's kind of like Robot Boy or Code Lyoko.
Oh yeah.
Well, in the year of 2019, it's like we're getting closer and closer to that one crack comic with Garfield and Sonic. I don't remember. Was it like...
No,
you
it
see
was
that
like
one?
a box art. No, is that
Yeah,
the
box
one?
art. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a box art. That's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But we're inching closer and closer to such blessed crossovers.
Come on, we have one more blessed there.
Yes, we need we need another extra blast there, Manny.
Bless.
We're good now. We're good now. We're ready.
We need another Simpsons crossover, but actually good.
This isn't so. It's incredible, really. That like of all the 80s of all the old IPs that Nickelodeon's making cartoons out of, besides like Star Trek and Ninja Turtles, like it's like Garfield is kind of flabbergasting in my opinion. I'm sorry, but it just
Do you hear me complaining? No.
This
is a blessing in disguise. No, it's not a blessing in disguise. This is like this is the greatest thing to ever happen right now. I'm secretly plotting and preparing for this.
Of course you would. You worship Garfield. I saw your Garfield shrine the other day.
Of course you do. And you know something else that kind of sucks about Viacom buying Garfield? That means, like, you know how Viacom is towards copyright. That means my server is going to be taken down.
Aww.
Because there's Garfield shit everywhere.
What is this? It's like that European thing where they ban memes.
I don't see that.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
think Viacom is gonna ban Lumpy Touch this like Garfield video? They're like, what the fuck is this? And you're just like, what did I do?
Rick and Morty better watch out with Gazorpazorp Field.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I remember in the commentary that like that's acceptable because it's like 10% different.
And it's also and it's under protection of and it's under the parody protection law.
Yeah, like literally, like with the 10% law, like that works because the fact he's got those fucking arms on his ears, like that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's acceptable.
And the difference is like Zorfield, unlike Garfield, likes
Is more of an asshole.
and he likes enchiladas and not lasagna. There's a total difference there, guys.
He doesn't
And
like
also,
that.
He's a fucking asshole.
He doesn't. He likes enchiladas and he hates white nationalists.
Yes. Hey John, it's me, Gazorpazorfield. Boy, fuck you, John, you fucking dumb, stupid idiot. I love that part at the end where he's like, now give me my fucking enchiladas.
Yeah, just like the voice actors just like trying not to laugh.
Well, wait a minute. Do you remember the Channel 101 Garfield?
I also remembered that he's like the reason why most people know who Scud is. Like that, Marty. The like the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like they had like a Scud short, and he's like he's actually real Marty.
Oh, he's real. He's real.
Yeah, I already knew who Scud was thanks to Pan Pizza in his monster house, and like, oh, I need to read this comic, and I actually did, and I love it. I would say it's one of my favorite comic series, next to Hellboy.
I remember reading
What was it like?
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I remember reading Scud, like, at my local library, because, we had, like, a really big graphic novel section, and they had, like, a bunch of Scud, like, compilations, and I used to, like, read those when I was a kid.
Oh, the big shebang.
Yes.
Yeah, I have that book under my Spy vs. Spy book.
I used to read, like, a bunch of those, and they also had, like, archived, like Nickelodeon magazine. That I also like took those out too. So
yeah, I remember those.
as a kid, like I used to go to the library a lot and just like find a bunch of like comics that are kind of obscure.
You guys are talking about books now, right? Oh, well,
Yeah.
Okay, let me share something. When I was 12 years old, there was a bookstore. There's a book sale happening in New Zealand when I was in New Zealand. So basically, you'd expect the children's books. They'd have like cute little books and stuff, but no. I looked deeper and I opened up. Wow, there's a bunch of cute girls, and then it's like, what
Oh,
these
no.
tentacle things? Like I opened it up, and
No!
dude,
No!
they only put it in the kids section because there were stickers in there, and it was like collectible stickers.
Oh my
Cute
god.
girls.
Ew.
And they sold it for 50 cents. 50 cents! I could have owned that for 50 cents.
And if you own that, you would like, and
My
you grow
parents-
up and you're like, oh shit, and you burn in a fire pit, like I did with
Exactly.
my Minecraft lyrics.
Your Minecraft lyrics?
Yeah, listen,
Anime-
when you're a child, you make cringy Minecraft parody songs, and you regret it, you burn them in your fire pit outside.
When Minecraft came out, I wasn't even a kid anymore.
You were so
Same.
young. I was probably like 12 or 11 when it was like getting popular. I wish I could play because I kind of do miss it, but what really sucks is for some odd reason my Mojang wouldn't let me play the full version. Like I have the demo, and I'm like, why? I've had this game for like almost 10 years. What the hell's going on?
I don't know.
You know, anime is scary because you could have a 12-year-old. You could have a 12-year-old looking thing being 700 years old, and the 700 years old thing being like 12 years old.
Yeah, let's not talk about hentai.
About this podcast. Here's what I love about this podcast. We can go from talking about hentai to Minecraft in just a second.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why we're
You
better
guys
than the
ever
Pizza
read the book
Podcast.
in the Peanuts comics, the original, what they used to look like?
Oh yeah,
I
the
have-
good old Charlie
Yeah.
Brown.
I remember that. I kind of prefer that style. Like I love the old one too because it has a lot of charm. But I like the 50s version where they kind of look like little Monopoly characters or Fallout characters.
They've got the little cutest bead eyes. Like it has. They look like you just pinched your cheeks. You just give them a hug. It's so cute. But
Yeah.
then it's got a. But then I think the Peanuts style as it is now has a bit of grit in it as well. Like there's more shakier line work and emphasis on dirt and specs and stuff.
It has
No.
like a crudely look, which I don't mind. It can look charming, but I kind of prefer
Yeah.
the old stuff.
Yeah.
I suppose it's how simple it looks that you could easily put it on a T-shirt and sell that thing for $300. No, I've actually seen that. One word, Gucci. But anyway, yeah.
At least it's
have you actually? hasn't ever tried drawing Snoopy or Charlie Brown or like in various angles. It's not actually that easy. It looks simple, but no, it's not as simple as you think.
It's kind of like the Powerpuff Girls, or
Yeah, exactly,
or
like the
drawing in
Powerpuff Girls.
Yoichi Kotabe's art style.
who?
The guy who draws the Mario art.
Oh,
That stuff's
Yeah.
difficult.
Sorry, I'm just laughing because CatBit talks about Yuichi Katabe a lot, so I'm like, I thought you guys would have known by now, but that's okay.
oh, I know who. I was like, wait a second. I can't remember. It's hard to remember Japanese names, and I feel bad saying that. Like,
That's okay.
like I have animes I really love, but it's like I'll forget the characters' names. Like My Hero Academia, I enjoy the show, but it's like, what's this guy's name again, or who's this guy?
I think it's just not remembering names in general. I think that's understandable. You'll be
The only
fine.
person I memorize is Deku because Deku, and I love Majora's Mask, so I always think of like, oh, the Deku scrubs. Okay.
You know what other anime artist I really like? Who's the guy that created Dragon Ball? I'm trying to I always forget his
Akira
Akira
Toriyama.
Akira Toriyama, yes.
Yeah, he's
Same
good.
time.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I like him. My favorite like manga artist is Hariko Araki, the guy who did JoJo.
I like
Of course you do.
I like Yoshitoshi Abe, the guy who did Serial Experiments Lane. That is some cool shit.
Oh yeah, I know his stuff too.
Who's that?
My favorite artist from Spain, or Cuban, was the guy who did Spy vs. Spy.
Ooh. Speaking of Spanish artists, I love Dechirico's work. He's a painter who does very minimalist and desolate stuff. Like, if you've played Fumito Ueda's games like Shadow of the Colossus, Ico, or The Last Guardian, you can instantly tell his style right away because it's got like castles and windmills and all that cool stuff, but it's completely empty, like empty, vast, and lonely, but so beautiful. I love that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would say like there's some artist I really like. Who was that? What was that one comic from like France that has like the Vikings? I really like that.
Asterisk.
Yeah, that's some really good stuff. I always confuse it with like
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about how French artists are really good. Like, they also made the Smurfs.
Belgian artists too. They
Oh, yeah.
they love cartoons. Like like Donald Duck is like worship there. One time, I think in Sweden they even had the Donald Duck party and nearly won. That's how much they love that duck.
Oh yeah.
Brazil really loves Woody Woodpecker.
Oh yeah, like Woody Woodpecker actually influenced a lot of characters that were created in South America. Actually,
It's really sad because from what I've seen, people don't care about Woody, but like, I like Woody.
Oh, I grew up with like watching like old Woody cartoons on like VHS.
Me too, except with bootleg DVDs from
Most of the time, it's kind of hard to know if Woody Woodpecker has an actual personality besides being annoying and killing people.
Nah, he wasn't
But-
really annoying. And from what I remember, it's always like, it's kind of like the Bugs Bunny thing, where it's like, he's only an asshole to people who treat him like an asshole first.
exactly.
Oh,
Like the
Yeah.
opera singer, like, that guy was a dick to Bugs for no good reason, or like the
I don't remember. I only remember him kind of getting flanderized at one point. That's all I remember.
from the
really.
Gremlin.
I don't know. It was like it was like early 2000s. I remember there was a Woody Woodpecker thing.
Oh yeah,
never
the Fox Kids Woody Woodpecker.
Is that the one
That's
where he
it.
sounded like a real robot? He's like, hello, I am Woody Woodpecker. Like, he sounded really weird.
Yeah,
Sounded a lot
I think
like,
I grew up with that.
The Woody Woodpecker from that GameCube game, the, what is it? The Universal Ride game.
Oh,
He sounds like
yeah, that one.
he sounds like a robot, I swear.
I actually don't remember this.
I've seen, like, Game Grumps play it, and James and Mike and Oni play it, and, like, it's one of those early, you know those games where it has, like, pre-rendered backgrounds, kind of like Resident Evil or Grim Fandango?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it has that, but with that, it's really annoying because the backgrounds are big landscapes, so it's like traveling around is so confusing. Like, I never played it, but like I've seen like how it looks. It's just like, good god.
I mean, I do love games with pre-rendered backgrounds, especially the
Same
first
here.
Resident. The first
too.
Resident Evil does it so good.
Yeah. And also, that's
I
something
kinda-
kind of like fascinating too.
I kind of like games that have that let you switch between looking at it with a first person or third person's perspective and then doing the pre-rendered as well, because like it's like the director has chosen the shots for you and you kind of want to it's quite cinematic, you know.
Yeah.
Oh hey Manny, I gotta tell you something.
What's up?
Speaking of like we were talking about France before. Have you read the comic Persepolis?
I know of Persepolis as in the one with the girl adapting into French life. I only partially saw the movie
Because
but-
I wanted to talk about the movie because I love like the comic too, and then the movie just adapted the art style so well, and it moves so good. Like it's probably one of my favorite animated movies to ever come
The
out.
adaptation was actually very good. And you can't mistake the style for anything else. It's definitely Persepolis. Was the creator like this was the story of the creator, right? The creator of the comic.
Yeah.
Because it's a very unique style. You'd think Middle Eastern art, and her art is very much. It's like her own thing, you know. You don't really get much stuff that looks like it, and also it's got such heart to the stuff that she's saying. But you know, it's not something that I've really finished.
Yeah.
I really gotta finish the movie. It's just there at the time I was watching when I was in high school. There were so many other things that I was like, ooh, let's watch this one because it was more of my interest. But Persepolis is still a very good movie from what I've seen.
So
So you saw it, like when you were in high school, or they like showed it in high school for you?
No, I was in high school, but at the time I was in high school, we watched westerns and film noir because that was the thing we were studying at the time. We also watched music videos.
I never heard like schools just watching like music videos. Basically, in when I went to school, they would just show like the basic like documentaries, like oh, this is the building of America.
We do documentaries in the last year because that's when you do a lot of research to be able to make the thing like, you know, to make your point for the documentary. It's because it's not just like you can make up your own story. You have to go out there and research cities and towns and talk to people, you know.
exactly.
But when I was in high school, it was amazing because our school for the school that I came from, Russell Crowe and a couple of other famous people came from it. It wasn't a fancy school, but it was a very good public school, and the film school was very good there. I went to a lot of conventions, and I met up with some actual directors, like the one who did Eagle and Shark. I wrote something for him, and my music videos got A pluses in American sense, and it was also in the websites for all the top students, and so basically I was one of the best in the nation in terms of my work. But even despite me not going to high school,
You didn't go to high school?
no, I didn't finish high school because my parents didn't let me. They said that I was too old, but it was an absolute lie. But
Wait,
anyway,
what?
that never stopped me from studying. But anyway, yeah. So I'm not sure if CatBit told you, but I had a pretty rough childhood. I'm not talking about that or going that into particular, but
Okay.
let's say that they kept me in the house for 5 years, or 4 or 5 years.
You were essentially a prisoner in your own house.
Yeah, I mean, I was allowed to go out to see the city eventually, but I was basically with the whims of my parents, and they used me like a venting doll. Like they come to me and talk to me about their problems, despite the fact it was like only like 17 or 16 or 18 at the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't you need to talk to a therapist? But I mean, I was really shy back then. Like last time I was in this podcast, I could not say shit because they would get very angry. And they'd also hear my conversations, so they would think that I was talking about them or something. But anyway, good news is that I've got my own apartment now. I'm paying my rent. I've like never missed a bill, and I'm doing pretty. Life is amazing as an adult, basically.
Yeah.
You're doing great. I'm proud of you.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. And I can't wait to get my project started. CatBit and a couple of friends of mine they're amazing.
That's great.
I can't be happy. I mean, I'm so happy that I have really good friends.
we'll talk about your projects at the end, but like one project in particular. But like if it's okay, like there's at least 2 topics we want to rush through, so like we could talk about your that one particular project.
No worries, go for it.
The first topic, 12 Forever, it finally came out, and Netflix isn't doing shit with it, from what I've seen.
Well, thankfully people are realizing. Well, it kind of sucks because I feel it's one of those shows that's like people only care about because there's a hot chick. But there are some people who enjoy the show. I'm like, okay, thank God.
So I actually
It's
recently
true.
watched the series, so I can
How
talk
is
about it.
So what
So
is it?
I like it. I like the series. It's nice.
Cool.
Oh, I'm glad.
It really resonates with like kids just like growing up like during that time, and also talking about like you know like the troubles with growing up, and sometimes you just don't want to grow up and you want to like stay a kid forever, but like it gets into like the point where it's like you don't have to grow up, but like but it's gonna come eventually, so
Yeah.
like you don't have to let go your spirit of being a kid, but like you
yeah.
do have to grow up.
It's
Because
true.
you gotta take responsibility, basically.
Yeah, like I'm trying to do more adult stuff. Like I've been doing really good at driving, but like I wish I could actually do more shit. Like I love to get a job, but I'm still doing college and stuff. And actually, I'm going to a math college in 3 weeks because now I found one that was actually open. Because I've mentioned before that I did have a math class before, but it got canceled all because there wasn't enough people coming, which was bullshit.
Yeah.
Now I'm going here and I'm really glad.
I feel like the best way to like learn to make yourself very independent is like learning how to do things for yourself, you know, just like doing, like, here's the thing, I had to teach myself to do these things because my folks refused to teach me it. Like, I had to learn to do my own laundry, folded, like, I learned how to cook, even though, like, most of the time
Yeah.
I'm forbidden from, the only thing
I don't know why your parents are doing that.
I don't know.
Your horizons will expand like infinitely once you're out of your parents' hair. Like the world that I'm in now it's like a whole new thing for me, you know. That's why I keep telling you, you gotta find a way to move out there sometime, because there's a world out here, you know.
The only thing I need so that I could finally say that I'm prepared for the world is like getting my driver's license, but
Yeah, also taking self-defense classes.
oh,
And
yeah.
public transport, learn how to use that.
Yeah.
Alright,
What's the
also,
other topic,
here's
by the way?
Yeah. Oh, guys, here's like a quick tip for like growing up. So, as an adult figure here, I'm putting like parentheses on myself right here because I'm not sure if I'm the best example, but I have to set
Nah,
an
you
example
cool.
for being an adult. So, the best
Okay.
way of growing up and like handling things is just do it. Just do it yourself. You'll like it's gonna be tough for you learning, but like you'll learn it eventually. Like instead of just like having someone else do it, like it's best if you do it yourself.
Exactly.
No, it does. Like, I've asked my mom, like, whenever we cook meals, I'm like, hey, Mom, can I learn how to cook this by myself? Like, she will sometimes help me when I'm, like, asking too many questions, but, you know, eventually I'll not
That's
ask
so
her a lot.
sweet.
Like, I used to ask her how to make red potatoes and cauliflower, but now whenever it's like, hey, Shane, can you make some red potatoes? I'm like, okay, I cook them just like that.
Oh, that's
And now I'm even learning how to do salmon for the family, so like I like to help out. my parents been doing other stuff, and it's like, I want to do more stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's like, I'm probably like overthinking this, but I kind of feel like I've been spoiled all my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not like, I mean, I've always like helped out my family, but I wish I could have done more. Like,
it's perfectly fine. You don't have to, for example, like for me and CatBit, I think we're happy for you, even if you say you're spoiled. But it's like, you know, you don't have to live a life like we did. We're very happy for you to have a loving family and all that. That's the important thing, is that, you know, it's your experience, and you're still a good person. So basically,
thanks,
yeah, no worries. Basically, you'll get there sometime. You'll see your worth. It's not just, oh, I'm spoiled. No, life's gonna get better than that.
Exactly.
Eventually, you just gotta keep going for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would love to like one day, you know, own my own house and like build stuff, because I've always wanted to do carpentry. It'd be really cool to like.
That'd be a good field for you if you want to like go into carpentry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I like to do, like, right now, I like to do engineering stuff, like, you know, mechanical stuff to help myself. Like, oh, my computer's fucked up, I can do that shit by myself, or, oh, hey, this is broken, I can fix this by myself, you know?
You want to hear a cool story? So, my grandpa used to be a carpenter, too, and one job he ended up having, he had to go to the Dakota, where, like, John Lennon and Yoko Ono used to live, so he worked on their apartment.
Wow.
Wow.
That was pretty epic.
Everyone's kind of connected with each of our stories. It seems like, you know, we all kind of know someone here.
This was like this was way before like John Lennon died. I remember he wasn't there, but Yoko Ono was there.
Wow.
He told me that. I also met Yoko Ono one night.
How's
for
that
work.
experience like?
Oh, she's nice. She's a nice lady.
Who is Yoko Ono?
She's John Lennon's. She was John Lennon's wife, I believe.
Oh.
She
Yeah,
also
John
wrote a
Lennon.
good book called Grapefruit. I looked up to that for inspiration. It's a good poetic book.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So
I've never really been a fan of the Beatles, but I always thought they were really good with like experimenting their sound and everything and writing. So I always condemn them for that. No, not condemn. Like I always applaud them for that.
Yeah, I like the Beatles because they popularized making experimental stuff cool. You know what? We need someone that makes you think, wow, I'd love to experiment. We need to, and everyone wants to experiment as well, because that's how art grows, you know?
I feel
Then,
like
then we got like
everyone's
cool
together.
bands like King Crimson too, and also Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
exactly.
I love Pink Floyd's, like, especially like The Wall, because like it's all experimental and like it's orchestrated, but at the same time all like rock.
And it may have been because of the Beatles that there was a huge surge in Baroque pop. Like suddenly people were into medieval and Baroque and fantasy imagery. It's like, whoa, when did people get so cultured? I'm like, you know, it's like a very interesting phase. Like people have a phase where they're into pop, like really poppy pop, and then people are into experimental pop, and then people are into like the regurgitation of the last decade, and then it kind of just cycles back to the experimental artsy part.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting to know. All
Yeah,
right.
everything comes in cycles. Like you think, oh, we're not gonna get a cartoon like this ever again. Someone's gonna eventually in the future make a cartoon that is exactly what you're asking for, and maybe it's not even a person. Maybe it's actually you. You know, maybe you're the one who made it, and that's why I'm very happy that we're born in this decade. Is because we have a say in the future that we're partaking in. You know, that's our future.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, I'm really glad that, yeah, I know Netflix is really bad doing ads and stuff, but I'm kind of glad it's on Netflix, honestly, because I get the film Cartoon Network would make it even worse with trying to promote it. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like,
true.
I feel like being on Cartoon Network, it would have a lot of setbacks too.
Yeah.
doesn't help to like look at what they are doing with like Infinity Trainer or like anything that isn't Teen Titans Go or Gumball or Total Drama Rama is treated horribly on the channel.
It's true.
That's what happens when you're in a culture that that basically rewards profits over people.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I'm in Australia, so it's a bit the temperature of of how things work here is a bit different. But I'm hoping it doesn't get too influenced by America, because last time, I think the only good thing that came out of being partially influenced by America was the LGBT thing becoming legalized here. But I hope that's the last thing that we have, because we don't end up wanting to, you know, other things that you already are quite aware of.
Exactly.
All of you.
I prefer the only influence America should have is just like influencing other countries to be open with the LGBT community, but other than that, no more. So,
I think America is quite good with its media as well, but only when it allows the creator to fulfill it the way that they wanted it, because despite what they think, if the creator fulfills it to their vision, people will still be interested in hearing it, and they're like, wow, you know what, that was a good story. Because if it's just like, we gotta water it down for people because that's what sells, it's like, this was a terrible story and I'm not gonna finish it, but also this is a cash grab.
exactly. So now we're on our. So I believe like it's just. So I believe like now, since we technically talked about Okay, do you guys want to talk about our criticism and like how we took that to improve ourselves?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'd say like Manny, since you were technically my first Discord friend, and I would like to say I'm very thankful that I met you, because if it wasn't for you, I don't know if like my style would have been as ambitious and have gone this far or like if I would have been stuck making mediocre stuff for the rest of my life, because like you were the one who was there to help teach me better myself as an artist. Like I wouldn't be so experimental trying different styles if it wasn't for you influencing me into that direction.
Of course. See, the thing about artists like that is that not a lot of them are either interested in teaching or they just want to keep the secrets to themselves, but I like to share things with other people, and I like to help people find their own voice. So, when you talk to some people, they're like, "Oh, I don't know how to help you there," or like, "I'm not interested because I'm too busy or I have too many problems of my own." But I mean, yes, I do have my own problems, but I'm always here to help people, especially. I mean, so that because if you help others, you help people who are working in an industry, and the more people that are helped in the industry, the more that the industry improves, and the more that the industry will progress into its next phase. You know?
Exactly. I feel our criticism is like important so that everybody could get better. It's like everybody could improve their skills.
The best way for like to get criticism is here's how I critiqued when I used to teach animation. When I used to teach animation, I would always like tell them just straightforward like what they need to improve on, but I don't really say like
mean about it.
I'm not mean about it at all.
No.
But I would tell I'm just honest with them and how what they did was wrong. But here's the thing. I don't tell them you're wrong. I just tell them here's how we can fix it, make it better.
Yeah, like you've done that to me because I want to improve, but it always kind of feels like since no one cares about my Twitter and stuff, and I'm always scared like people fall me for pity, and when I actually ask for art criticism, it feels like it's like no. I'm like, well, I want to actually improve. Come on now, I'm actually trying.
You don't have to like just go to Twitter and ask random.
No, I never do, but like I'm always like.
You could
that's
always
my
ask
friend.
me. You could always just ask me, or like CatBit, or even like Manny here.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
I like to ask my other friends, and like thankfully, whenever I do ask for criticism, especially like our channels, people are actually fair. I'm always scared that people will ignore me,
Yeah.
like they always do.
Most people ignore others because they don't know what to say. Not everyone, and most people don't even know what to say in the first place. It's like, oh man, I wish I had something interesting to say. I mean, the important thing is it's not just what you have, what's interesting, but also just letting them know that you're there for them.
Yeah.
Also, another good thing when you're like teaching someone is, since you get to personally know them, like you would basically find a way to like explain it in a way that they can get it. That's usually what I would do. Sometimes I would go one-on-one with someone and tell them, all right, I know you don't get like the flour sack assignment, so here's like how like to really convince it that it has weight. Like think of like gravity, or like how thick do you want like this thing to be? So if you're throwing something in the air, like it's usually a pretty like heavy start, but when it comes down, it has like this huge force to it. So it's all really in timing and spacing. So when you're like doing the lift off for it, there's not really all the frames are pretty much closer together, and you want to like convince them that their speed and falling, like the frames would be like more farther away from each other.
Yeah.
Oh.
So now that we are in our last topic, Manny, we have at least like 20 minutes to kill off. We want to ask, what's the deal with funny story?
Cool. Alright then, let me pull up my notes. So basically, my cartoon is a personal take on using cartoons as a human animals as a metaphor for when society discriminates against neurodivergent people, and society's obsession also with always being perfect and always having to put a happy face for others. So it's a very Toon logic-y discussion on the value of humanity, the search and fight, and including for a subplot of this cartoon, the search and fight for the divine comedy and the potentials and dreams of everyone in our world as well. So, for example, I could also add something here. So, you know all those terms you studied in film and animation class?
Yes.
Because they're all techniques Toons use to fight each other in funny story. For instance, how cartoon characters get from one place to another, and the show's use of ellipses is explained in time. And basically, things like cutting or editing or let's see, the 180 rule, stuff like that.
Let's see. There's squash and stretch. There's timing and spacing. There's weight.
Oh, that's it. I gotta explain that to you as well. So the story of Funny Story is basically Buckaroo has to fight the 12. One of the main plot is that Buckaroo has to fight the main the 12 principals of the Kangaroo Court, and the 12 members, the most powerful members of the Kangaroo Court, their special attacks are based on the 12 principles of animation. So, because Buckaroo is already the fourth strongest member of the Kangaroo Court, he actually has to call on the person he's taking care of as a social worker, because he works as a social worker in the Kangaroo Court. So basically, the person who has to fight on his behalf for the other 12 the lower half of the 12 members of the Kangaroo Court is actually the person he's taking care of, which is Nickelby Possum. Because in their world, if you're not being funny, you lose your place to stay in this world because the world gets angry. It's a sentient world, and it lives to be entertained. So if you're not doing your job in entertaining this world, you don't have a right to exist in it. So basically, the unfunny animals, the unfunny toons in the world of Yorkie, which is the name of the sentient world, you basically have your citizenship and visa canceled, and you're no longer known as as someone who lives in this world, and you get shot out of a cannon in a portable hole where you're never seen again. And that brings a lot of and no one actually acts like they've lost someone who's very dear to them, because they always have to put a happy face on when they're partaking in their roles as toons, which is that they have to work 24/7. No, not 24/7. I mean, they have to work daily in their roles as toons by partaking in shows, and the shows basically are the way of earning income and being able to take care of themselves. They only have this happy face most of the time because they don't want to end up like an unfunny toon as well, and being depressed and sad will make you unfunny. But in the end, it's like, what makes toons and humans so different from each other? Because they can feel happy and loved and cared for and angry and sad just like humans can. They even look kind of like us, and it comes to the realization that Buckaroo actually kind of ties them both together, humans and toons, because he's half human and half toon himself. His father was a toon, his mother was a human, and so realizing how human he is, because his father always scolded him for being too human, Buckaroo then begins to realize, we're just as important as humans are, and there's so much beauty in humanity. There's so much humanity in toons, and there's so much humanity in that it becomes a fight for a very subtle but very cartoony fight for the worth of everyone in Yorkie and what it means to be human. Because especially in a society where people look down on you and for being fun, like for acting funny, but also that's basically what my cartoon's about. What do you think?
Sounds
I like
interesting.
it. Sounds interesting.
Thanks. So yeah, the cartoon I'm doing, if you've seen stuff like Serial Experiments Lane or any of that, it's what I wanted. A goal that I wanted was to eventually have the show become an explanation for the importance and the power of art, and also how much art has evolved since the beginning on the dawn of art. So eventually it will incorporate a lot of different art styles, but don't spoil that for everyone else. It's going to be very beautiful. But yeah, the way that the cartoon works is that it's like a mix of a 70s sitcom and also the 40s classic cartoons and stuff like Serial Experiments Lane and Angel's Egg and kind of like Evangelion, but less about edgy shots and more like trying to psychologically understand, just like Evangelion, I mean, psychologically understand the characters through the symbols that represent them, and basically breaking down animation into what it very much is, symbols that appear as real things because it moves with space and time, and sometimes the characters even point out, like for example, Buckaroo is dating a human called Sweet, or is trying to, or is trying to find a perfect date for himself, someone he can live with for the rest of his life. And Sweet, a human, she I just wanted to point out, Buck likes, like what does CatBit say? He likes sausages. He likes.
I professionally adore sausages and bagels. So why can't we have both?
Exactly. I think it'd be very cool to have a very masculine-ish character who loves both girls and guys. So it's not just feminine guys like guys too. Nothing wrong with that. But I think we gotta present masculinity as something that it's also a very masculine thing to love guys as well. But also, it's like the thing with him and Sweet. It's like he asks Sweet sometimes, like, oh wow, you really do you love me because I'm well drawn, or that I'm very real to you? Like, am I real to you because of the way that I act, or because there is an actual person, or that I'm an actual person because of who I am? And it's like, most of the time in the cartoon, I want the characters to be so real that you forget that they're cartoon characters. You feel like they're real people, even if they're very silly or exaggerated. Because the point of them is that you see them as cartoon characters because they are cartoon characters, but that you see them as, as real people as well. Because the whole point of the show is to empathize and to find the humanity in other people that you may not understand, but they're just as human as you are. And eventually, like me and CatBit are trying to do, it's also supposed to break down the whole thing about abuse, because abuse is all about dehumanizing the person. And we live in a society, and sorry about that, I was about to say the meme. We live in a culture that
we live in a Pokemon world.
Yes, we live in a Pokemon world. We live in a Pokemon world that enables abuse because besides it putting profits over people, lots of abusers are the ones who are running our world because they know how to they know how things work, but they don't care about you or anyone in general. They just want power. And so it's like, how do you use power responsibly? How do you who should be in power? What happens if this person were in power as well? So it's like a mix between I'm trying not to make it focus too much on as a political thriller, but I just want it to be like a character study or a psychological study on these characters mostly, and a very dreamlike study at that. And before the thing ends, I can also share with you a thing I wrote for the opening sequence of it that I hear was pretty good, and I think I might actually stick with that. It's my 28th rewrite of Funny Stories since 2011, but I've been working this for 7 years, so perhaps from hearing this, you might be interested more on my cartoon, and hopefully
Is it okay if we could put it as a link for the audience who watches our stupid podcast to be reading? Because I think the better experience for an audience is to read the thing that they're interested in you creating.
I actually wanted to tell it personally because while I'm saying it, you can imagine the story yourself. And again, it's not that I don't like to share my writing, but I want you to hear what I have to say, and then when the story comes out, you look at the pictures, and then you hear me narrating it, basically.
Yeah.
This particular scene. So do I still have enough time for that to
A sense.
to go with
You
it?
have like 3 minutes. Sorry.
Perfect. Okay, that's enough. Yeah, that's enough time. So basically, the first scene of Funny Story that I wrote down was that it opens with with a cat and mouse cartoon on TV. It's a generic one, but Kangaroo is watching it. There is a cat and mouse chase scene, and the TV says muted. Because we want to emphasize that this is a silent scene and that you should be focusing what you're seeing, not anything else. So we cut to an establishing shot of Buck's living room, with the mess detailing what he's been doing before the story started. Buck releasing the remote button ties the shots together, but Buckaroo is never seen from the front, so we're looking at from this scene with his back. So we pan down to the light reflected from the floor, which makes the cartoon look like a colorful amorphous blob. It abstracts it. Buckaroo's foot stepped in shot with one bunny slipper on and one foot bare. That's going to be explained later. Camera rotates to, quote camera, returns, quote, rotates to Buck's side from his hips to a curtain with both strings pulled down, which reveals a window. It is washed in light. One window is open. Buckaroo walks into view with a reflection, revealing his human form and face. He is disgruntled. His bottom half is diagonally covered in shadow. Buck watches Toons play hopscotch and chase each other from outside. And Buck puts his remote down on the balcony. He is about to shut the window, but before he could do that, the story cuts to the next scene. Buckaroo is sitting on a bridge at this point. It's a point of view shot. One hand slips on one sleeve, and basically when he slips that one hand on his sleeve, it comes out with his left hand looking like a Toon, and his other hand still human. So it reveals that he's both human and Toon. Buck looks at himself from a reflection, which has both hands present, and Buckaroo's face slides away, leaving both his hands, only his hands still present. He does a puppet show to keep us and himself entertained. So the story goes like this. The human hand is looking left and right. The Toon hand shows up with a flower. The human hand attacks the Toon hand. The human hand realizes what it's done, curls up into a ball, and cries. The Toon hand looks at the human hand for a while, and the human hand looks back. The hands go down, and they are dressed in merge outfits, and they kiss. And the phone rings. Which is the Buckaroo's call to adventure. The human hand, with both hands back to normal, picks it up and nearly drops it into the water. Buckaroo gasps. The Toon hand catches it, and the Toon hand and the human hand look at each other and embrace. And the first line that Buckaroo says, or the first line that comes from the entire cartoon is, "Hello," and we are open to the real cartoon, which is basically Buckaroo and Sweet going on a date. So it sets up the comedic tone, but the first scene exists because it's establishing that the cartoon is a psychological character study of Buckaroo, and and also pointing out the similarities between human and Toon. Like, why is he both human and Toon? And that is my first scene for Funny Story. What do you think?
It's interesting.
I actually like it.
Thanks. You'll get a better picture of it when it does come out, but the reason why I wrote it like this was because it's mostly picture-based. So I was explaining pictures to you basically, and you're not necessarily going to get the pictures so quickly when I'm saying it, but when you do see it, it reads very nicely. Basically, it's good. It's got good pacing, and if you're interested, I can also share the text form to you for you to read it, and then perhaps you can share your thoughts with me. What do you think?
I would like to read it again. So also, CatBit, I think it's also good to leave a link below so we can read it.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why.
Sure.
If I have time, I'll hopefully get to see it.
Yeah, I think it's better like the audience gets to read.
Now, before this podcast ends, I want to point out that this is not a finished story, but by the time it comes out, you'll see quite a lot of interesting details put into it. But so far, so good, and I'll let you know. I'll let you guys know when the story is finished, so you can have a read at it and then tell me what you think.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks for the podcast, CatBit. And how did it go so far? With the podcast?
So
What
far,
do you think?
you did well.
Thanks.
We're happy that we had you on the podcast, and we hope someday you could come if you're interested to come back on. Maybe maybe it's
sure, I'd be happy.
Maybe we can either get like Nessie or like Aatrox on with you. Perhaps that'd be if you.
Oh, definitely. Sometimes, this was in the past, but me and Aatrox would have very interesting conversations about cartoons, at least with Roger Rabbit in particular. But
oh yeah, I had like an
fun.
interesting conversation with him about Roger Rabbit too.
He really loves Roger Rabbit, but then again, it was the thing that inspired him to do cartoons, and that's admirable. Is that no matter what else is being made, there's always that one cartoon you can always look back on, and then eventually you can make your own cartoon as well.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, I am looking forward to his comic as well. So there's that. Lots of good stuff to be made from all of us.
Yes. Thanks, man.
No worries. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks, guys, for listening to the podcast.
I'm the one who ends it.
Shut
Thanks
the fuck up, Captain.
listening.
Word
Thank
shit.
you for
What, Manny? No. I'm gonna mute you. So, Manny, say goodbye.
Sure. Hey, stay tuned, guys, and take care. It's a big world out there.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, Jiggy check. Yeah, Jiggy check. So Jiggity check yourself before you wreck yourself.